Hey guys, Salvi here, just reminding you to, of course, like, subscribe, and follow, and all that kind of good stuff that YouTube asks if you enjoy what video I'm going to put out for you today. Thank you. We have a big bombshell that just fell from Twisty Amanazako of Nijisanji. She is, of course, she went out on stream on a PL and decided to release everything, at least reveal everything verbally about what's been happening. She first starts out, of course, with her apology. That's the part that I'm going to skip. She does say that she was already starting to change. That's why she didn't feel she needed to actually say anything until, of course, the information came out. She was thinking that, you know, her content, the way that she was doing things now, was kind of a way of showing that she had changed. And then she gets to the interesting stuff about Nijisanji, where she talks about the environment. She talks about stuff that we knew through the leaks that happened before, about, you know, that she was not in a good place, that it cost her a lot of money, that she didn't make a lot of money to start off with, things like that. What we're going to get to right now, though, is a bit more of the important stuff that I want to get to. Because she was 8 months without pay, but what I want to get to is this. Of course, it's going to be a black screen stream, but she does get to the Aster stuff right here, pretty much right around here, and I do want to start there. It's going to be a long one, so buckle in.
Work-related expenses. In July 2024, I raised concerns about inappropriate behavior and misconduct within the company.
So yeah, she raised concerns.
Try and clarify a little later what I mean by that. The individual in question had a known history of manipulation and targeting new hires, especially women.
So we're talking about Aster.
I was told that no action would be taken due to fear of retaliation.
That's BS.
These issues were not new.
That's messed up.
They'd even been brought up long before I joined, but no meaningful steps were ever taken to address them.
As you would expect from Nijisanji.
I feel like the toll this took on me was severe. My mental health wasn't really in a good place to begin with, and it deteriorated to the point where I could no longer function as I once had.
Of course,
I had to withdraw from multiple voice acting opportunities because I couldn't even get myself to record for anything without just breaking down and crying. And I remember one time sitting in front of my desk doing a waiting room for like 10 minutes, and I was just sitting there trying to calm myself down and, you know, be able to entertain my fans, but I ended up just ending the stream before it even began because I had broken down in tears, and I really just could not get myself to stop crying. It had been leaked online. We urged the world, and because of that, I made a lot of mistakes. Together with some of my coworkers, I pleaded for the situation to be taken seriously. We emphasized that without proper intervention, the consequences would fall on everyone. But still, nothing had changed.
That's really messed up.
In November 2024, staff were made aware that private conversations had been leaked online. We urged them to respond or prepare for the fallout of everything. Nearly a month passed, with no communication nor action, until the video was published, and public backlash forced the situation kind of out into the open.
That is, of course, the false ID one. When I received some of those messages as well, and I did release them as well. I redacted everything I possibly could, but this has gotten too far. At this point, redaction isn't even necessary. They just don't care. So that's why I'm being very open about what this is and what it's about.
I was then instructed to take a break from my work following an announcement of an investigation. Despite this,
something that never happened, apparently. The investigation never happened. She's going to go over this.
I never once felt that my concerns were ever meaningfully addressed. Most conversations focused not on resolving the matter, but on managing my exit. I remember the first call we had. For, I would say, 80% of it, I was explaining VTuber culture and kind of what VTubers were.
The legal side.
And for the other 20%, I explained my experience with this person. And, you know, I felt like I didn't have very much time to really delve into everything, and I was told that they would follow up and we'd speak more, and that never happened. Any following conversations pretty much happened because after pushing and pushing for a response on anything, I eventually kind of broke down and said, I want to quit. I want out.
Anyone who was in that situation would absolutely agree. They're not paying attention to her. They didn't care. They were just putting the public stuff like, oh, we're gonna investigate, and nothing happened.
And immediately, they kind of got back to me, and everything following that was details surrounding my leave and my exit. But to this day, I'm not confident any real investigation ever took place. I know that they were very clear in not admitting fault in any way.
Of course.
And I want to be honest. You know, at one point, there were talks of a settlement, and I personally do not believe that if they truly did nothing wrong, that would have been something that they even considered.
True. They know they messed up. They know there was something happening there. They know she got hurt, and they wanted to settle so she would stay quiet.
But ultimately, it's something that I had decided against. And I want to make it clear that I do have documentation to support my claims, including acknowledgments from the person involved, and I'll talk a bit more about that later.
So, apparently, Aster did acknowledge that they messed up, that they did something, apparently. We're going to be skipping through a bit of this, of course, not to be disrespectful to Twisty, but for time, we might be skipping through some of this. Not all of it, of course, not the important details, but I'll try to get to the good stuff. By good stuff, I mean the stuff where she actually mentions about Aster and things like that. This is just, this is just really messed up. This whole thing is really messed up. She got screwed over big time.
It's been reported to staff so many times over the years, and it has been well documented and recognized as an issue. On top of this, another coworker had leaked my outfit just 10 minutes after I had privately shared.
So this part, this we're gonna skip because of course it was a leak of an outfit, the outfit that I showed you guys, the outfit that I was very positive of because it was very cute and everything like that. That one was leaked. So of course she goes over that and how she felt. It was kind of like she stole the thunder and she wanted something to enjoy, and so there were people who were very mean to her about that.
Over time, their behavior really started to shift. I feel like once they felt more comfortable, they began calling me more often.
This is talking about Aster specifically. This is actually mentioning Aster. She doesn't mention the name, but I think this is more Aster here.
Met this person. They were very friendly, and we had bonded over games. They kept pushing me to play games, and although I really didn't want to, I eventually agreed because I just wanted to have a good relationship with all of my coworkers.
Absolutely.
Over time, their behavior really started to shift. I feel like once they felt more comfortable, they began calling me more often, making extremely flirty comments about
oh god
my appearance.
Oh no.
And my voice, and they would often ask me to say specific things or quotes or phrases for them so that they could hear it in my voice.
Oh
They
no.
would bring up my ASMR in a way that made me feel extremely, extremely uncomfortable.
Of course.
They would want to call with me more and more, were acting overly familiar and constantly just putting me down.
Oh god.
Calling me weird, asking if I was mentally disabled or had Tourette's, and claiming that
That is a obvious manipulation tactic. That is what manipulators do. They try to tear you down and then have them be the only one who could bring any positivity into your life. Oh my god. This guy is more horrible than I ever imagined.
others at work were uncomfortable around me. This really hurt at the time, but I later found out from another coworker that this wasn't true, and that manipulation and bullying were just a pattern of his.
Yeah.
I remember, one time we were in call.
Basically, manipulators, what they try to do is they try to separate you from everybody. They try to isolate you as much as they can and have them be the only one who can bring any positivity, the only one who can build you up. They tear you down to try to make you separate from everybody. Boy, do I know about that. And then they try to build you up in some way so that they are the only ray of light that you see.
And they just kept repeating, like, why can't you be normal? Why can't you just be normal? And I don't know, as someone who's never really fit in, I feel like it just kind of hit very hard. But during one of these calls, they brought up the idea of meeting up in Japan, and I've always been a shy person, but I also struggle with severe agoraphobia. Even something as simple as going to the grocery store can end in a panic attack for me, which is something that I had already mentioned before. When they suggested meeting up, I kind of explained again that I wouldn't feel comfortable, and I even said that if I were in Japan, I probably wouldn't leave my hotel room. Their response made me kind of uneasy. Instead of respecting the boundary that I had set, they kept pushing, saying that I didn't really seem like that type of person to him. He would continue with things like, what if we were in Japan together? To which I stated, like, regardless of who was with me, I would still feel extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I
They
can understand that.
what if I was in Japan with you and I held your hand? And, I told them, like, that wouldn't change how I felt, and they followed up with, what if I hugged you? I repeated that I still wouldn't feel comfortable then, and what I interpreted to be a very, very flirty tone, they had said, what if we just stay in my hotel room together all day?
Oh no.
Sometime after this, I was invited to Japan under the pretense that they had not many people for their event, and they really, really needed me. I later found out that this was completely false. They had more than enough people for the event, and I feel like they were just trying to guilt trip me, to try to get me to show up, and thinking about it, I don't think I'm a very smart person. I felt uncomfortable, but I wanted to think the best, and, if I was financially able, I probably would have went because I want to be a good coworker. I want to be a good friend, and
So they manipulated her a lot. Holy moly. Even Nijisanji manipulated her. That is horrible.
thinking about like what could have happened. It's honestly something I don't really want to think about, but I do a lot. In the same hotel room with them also happened with the other people who were involved, but the same exact behavior, the same offer to fly other people out to Japan if it meant that they would stay in the same hotel room with them.
So he had done this before. He had done this many times over, and since maybe he had been reported and nothing ever happened, of course he felt like he could do it again.
Also happened at another point, and with another person, they got extremely aggressive with this person for not wanting to meet up with them on a trip. I feel like this behavior to me was extremely uncomfortable and inappropriate, especially given that we were coworkers and we had around a 10-year age gap between us.
Absolutely.
I think what maybe seemed like harmless flirting to them felt very invasive and manipulative to me.
It
The way
was.
that they would just completely ignore my boundaries and try to kind of blur the line between professional relationships and personal ones made me feel very pressured and just ultimately unsafe. I had confronted them about it. I feel like it's kind of weird when you offer to fly girls out, just in general.
So this is her talking to Aster and confronting him about what he's doing.
I'm gonna get a call.
In general.
Might be famous. I don't know, but don't you think
It was like a half
that's-
joke.
I mean, you can't really half joke saying, I'm gonna fly you to Japan, come stay in my hotel. That's not really a joke. Like, I feel like there are some things you should and should not say to someone who is like, because like, she is a really big fan of Nijisanji. You're on your Liver account. I feel like it's very awkward for her when you're saying, like, even if it's a joke, which I don't think it is. I don't think, like, you say my joke's like unhinged or whatever, but you don't just say, I'm gonna fly you out and you can stay in my hotel room. After we had this specific.
So that was her confronting him. Remember, in the leaks, there were talks of that he had done this before many times. Like other people, in fact, this was through false ID that mentioned this, that other people, including fans, including other VTubers in Nijisanji, had contacted him directly about the things that he had said, that Aster had said and done.
Specific conversation. We continued to go back and forth on it for a bit, and at one point, they had said something to the effect of, well, your friend is just so nice, and I just I really couldn't help myself, you know? And
What the hell?
I just felt like that kind of hit home for me. I don't think that someone being nice to you is an excuse to push their boundaries, or, and I don't want to say this lightly, because I do believe that my friend had it much worse than I did, but I don't think being nice is an excuse to sexually harass someone.
Oh, absolutely not.
I think another thing, many people have asked why I post publicly so often, and honestly, it's because it was the only way I ever received any form of response from my job. Every private attempt at communication was met with silence or redirection.
Which seems to be a constant thing with Nijisanji, an issue. Unless you make them suffer publicly, they will not respond to you. And that sucks. That absolutely sucks.
I remember at one point, recently actually, they were upset because I had stated I want to stream, and said, "Why didn't you just ask?"
Oh,
Despite
God.
me and others pleading for months upon months for my return, and the only reason any of this even became public was because a friend chose to expose it, because I can't really put it any other way. I was stupid. I had trusted them. I truly considered them a friend, but it came to a point in our relationship where I felt like I had to set boundaries in response to their very abusive behavior, and they weren't happy with that, and they kind of stated that this was a way to get back at me. Looking back,
So, the person who leaked it, according to her, this was revenge. Like the leak was, they had been set certain boundaries, and they leaked because the boundaries they didn't respect, according to what I'm hearing here. Let me hear it again.
in a relationship where I can't really put it any other way. I was stupid. I had trusted them. I truly considered them a friend, but it came to a point in our relationship where I felt like I had to set boundaries in response to their very abusive behavior, and they weren't happy with that, and they kind of stated that this was a way to get back at me. Looking back, I feel like I realized how naive I was to think that I could just handle it all on my own, but at the time, I felt like I had no one to turn to. My coworkers were already overwhelmed and dealing with plenty of issues, and I didn't want to bring my own issues into the mix.
I can absolutely understand that.
I want to just take this moment, I guess, and I want to just sincerely apologize to my past, current, and future fans for the things that were said. I've mentioned it on stream many times, but I just want to say it again clearly. I truly, truly do not care about money or expect anything from you. What I had said came from a moment of frustration during a very difficult time in my life. The financial stress and feeling unsafe in my work environment, and just being constantly disrespected by outsiders in my own space.
So yeah, she just finishes off by apologizing, of course. And holy moly, the whole thing, it's very very intertwined, very weird. The whole situation with Aster, I'm glad that she released the information there. Glad she released what he was saying, because this needs to be put out there. He needs to have some kind of consequences, for goodness sakes. And it seems like Nijisanji did suspend her, from what it seems like, or at least didn't care about her streaming. They pulled the "why didn't you ask" when she did, and her friends in Nijisanji asked why isn't she streaming. So basically, they're preventing her from streaming in a way. They are not actively investigating Aster, from what we know, from what she's saying here. They seem to have been pushing all of the things that he has done in the past. They just keep pushing it on, pushing it on, pushing it on. Hopefully no one ever finds out. We did find out, although it was from somebody who she claims was basically didn't respect her boundaries to begin with, and decided to do this because of reasons, because he has his reasons. He wanted to, according to her, get revenge, etc. for this whole thing. I'll believe her in this situation. It's just, she's been victimized again and again. She's been victimized so much. And this is why I spend the full time on this. It is a 29-minute thing. I did spend about 20 minutes on it because this is not something that should be done like just pushed just like whatever. This is not something that should just be like, oh, a 5-minute thing. I wanted to fully cover it because yes, it is that important. So I do wish the best for Twisty and her PL and whatever she wants to do after that. I do wish her the best because she deserves it. She deserves justice, number one, and she deserves to be treated better. We move on to Nimi Nightmare, the independent English VTuber, who is, of course, right here, the tapir. At least she looks very much like a tapir. I believe she is. We are talking about her today because of this. She's going to be having her 3D reveal on June 14th at 3 p.m. PDT. By the time you've watched this, it may have already happened, but I am reporting it as I see it right now. And of course, it is going to be live. A lot of people are very excited about it. It is, a lot of people are looking forward to it. And of course, chat is disabled for the waiting room. It's going to be enabled for the stream, but it's disabled for the waiting room. That's how come you don't see anything on the sides. This is great for her. She's been working super hard on this. This is, of course, she's an indie. So this is all, of course, her money and her time being spent to get all of this done for everybody. I do wish her the best. I do know that this is going to be something amazing, something great. And of course, we were saying, by the way, it's going to be scuffed, silly, and fun, as always. Mint says, I was just thinking today with your karaoke how fun it'd be to see you in 3D. Yippee. Crow, let's go. Our beloved tapir in 3D. Lazuli, 3D Nimi, repeated several times. Paco, let's go. Oh, hype. Looking forward to tomorrow. Everyone is just happy. Feels like yesterday I was watching the full model reveal. I feel old. So yeah, it's something that's going to be put out there soon. I am very, very glad that she's doing this, and I'm very glad that I know it's going to be very successful. I know it's going to be a big success for her because she deserves it. She's been working her ass off, and she deserves this kind of win. Welcome back, everybody, to the VTuber Showcase, the place where I like to showcase up-and-coming VTubers of every size, shape, form, type, everything in between. I do this because I want it to be a positive space. I want to be the change that I want to see in the VTuber community, and that change is helping content creators, other VTubers out there, rise up and be, a little bit bigger, maybe grow a little bit, maybe at the very least get eyes on you, get new amount of eyes on you. Today we're talking about Azukitou, who is a blue phoenix, and let's take a look at what they do here. This is their design here on Twitch. They are, hi Azu, your friendly neighborhood blue phoenix VTuber, variety gamer who loves to interact with my community and bring the funny ha-has. Let's take a look here at some of the funny ha-has they've done recently.
Mushrooms, yay or nay? Never had. But maybe yay. From stories I've heard. Oh, wait. Are we talking the food or the drug?
Oh dear.
If we're talking the food, yay. Absolutely yay.
So there you go. You never know with the community. And here, of course, we have Azukitou, who is on the YouTube side here, as you can see. They're doing Twitch VODs, Walking Dead, New Frontier. You have stories from Styx, and they're reacting to it and things like that. So they're reacting, doing some VODs, things like that, which is very, very smart to do because, as you know, after a certain amount of time that your VODs have been around, a certain amount of size of your VODs, Twitch is going to remove them. So it's always better to stay on YouTube with the VODs. At the very least, put your VODs somewhere where you can have a repository where people can get to it. Thank you so much, Azukitou, for allowing me to showcase you on my channel. And yes, I do hope this helps you in some way. Thank you guys for watching as always, and of course take a look, and if you enjoy everything, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, all those things that YouTube asks of you. Really do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.